focus on the digital side of financial inclusion and financial literacy. So, first and foremost, I'd like to start, with you, Charity. We know that financial education has been the emphasis whenever we talk about financial inclusion, financial literacy, and what first of all I want to understand is what is the role of FSD Zambia?
Okay, thank you very much. FSD Zambia, as you might know, what we'd call the gurus of financial inclusion.
Interesting.
Yes. We've been rolling out financial inclusion. We are also a knowledge base. So we do different kinds of research to find out where is financial inclusion in Zambia, how is it moving, what are the products that people are accessing, where are they accessing these products from, do they have the information, what are some of the hindrances to accessing the financial services, and we find out if we're talking about digital financial services, how is the network coverage? You can't talk digital unless people have access to network. I'm talking about mobile phone access. So we care about all this, creating the ecosystem. In the ecosystem, we know that there should be a very good rollout of agents networks. People want their money. There's got to be someone to cash in, cash out when they want. But we want also for them to move away from cash in, cash out to also pay using their money. So in the ecosystem, we look at the regulation. That's why we love the Bank of Zambia here, because unless they get the regulation right, then people don't qualify to transact. So we look at the ecosystem like that, the customer, the consumer protection. Are the customers' needs being met? Are their outcries being paid attention to? So we try to harness the entire ecosystem so that digital financial services, financial inclusion based there can be achieved.
Obviously, the presence of the governor speaks volumes on how important the Bank of Zambia, treasures this issue of financial inclusion, financial literacy. So, for the purposes of those that are watching us, just take us through, what role does the Bank of Zambia play when it comes to financial education?
Okay, thank you, Winston. And to start with, let me just state, even in our own Bank of Zambia strategic plan, financial inclusion, it's supported by two pillars, financial inclusion and financial stability. When we're speaking to financial stability, what we want to see is our financial sector resilient to any shock, anything that happens. How will our financial sector be able to withstand any such shock? When we speak to financial inclusion, we want more people to be able to access financial services and the usage thereof. It's not just good that the financial services are there, but they must be accessed by more and more people. And what we are seeing more recently, we undertook what we call the FinScope survey, where people go out throughout the country to try and assess how is the usage and access to financial services been so far. And in our 2020 survey, what came out is about 69.4% of our adult population are financially included. That's an increase of about 10 percentage points when we compare to 2015. And the driver of that so far has been mobile money, which is a part and parcel of digital financial services. So we are on the right trajectory, but we can still achieve more.
Interesting there. You talk about the FinScope study, and one of the things that I've noticed is that yes, there's been progress, but when you look at gender parity, more males still tend to be more financially included as a result of, I believe, increased access to these services that you referred to and that Jimmy has referred to. So going forward, FSD Zambia, of course, working with other partners, how do you intend to ensure that this gap is mitigated?
Okay, thanks. That's a very good question. Very good concern for women, March is a Women's Month. One way we do that is also just by following what's happening in the access to financial services between males and females. So we care for data disaggregation. We want financial service institutions to give the Bank of Zambia data which is already segregated so that we can actually know for sure that this is the percentage advantage, this is the difference. And I'm happy to comment that following the FinScope study for 2015, we were at 11% disparity, and that has been narrowed somewhat. It's now much less. I think it's around 5 or there around, percent. So there's also catching up. We're playing catching up, but we're not yet there. So I say that the first thing is to understand the problem through statistics. We need the information. Once we know that, we should then go out and look at the target market. We are different women. There are women who are in offices. There are women who are at the market. There are women who are in homes as mothers. There are older women. So all these people need to be understood. What is their need? What are their products available? So we need to build the right products. The products have to be the right ones. So when the financial service providers, the MNOs, the banks, and the other non-bank financial providers, they need to do some research, take some interest, go to the women, listen to them in savings group. What can make this more useful? Women in the office, it's the convenience they're looking for. If I'm at home and my child needs money, can I send it, put down my pen where I'm working and answer that need? Is it a child?
Talking about convenience, Charity, I've noticed that, a lot of these groups that are being formed, the Chilimba, the village banking and everything, just from my observation, I've noticed that they're attracting quite a lot of women, Shouldn't banks be learning one or two things? Why are women rushing more to such kind of arrangements as opposed to the mainstream financial services?
I think the banks are learning. Zanaco have a product. Even the non-bank, Madison have a product. Several banks, AB Bank, the ones that I know, sorry, I'm mentioning banks like promoting them, but I just want to underscore the fact that the banks are learning.
When we send the invoice to Zanaco, obviously, we'll send it through Charity.
Yes, so the banks are learning, the financial institutions generally are learning, and they're building linkages. When the women come together, they no longer put money in the box. Thank God, to COVID-19, it had a silver lining. So now people find one e-wallet, if it's a mobile wallet, everybody sends their money there, and then someone who's in charge, 2-3 people, and they send to each one of you. The banks see that it is women, but I want to tell you one thing. Why we took so long to be financially included is because we concentrated on the banks. So the fact that we're not concentrating on the banks is also a good thing. That the women who can't walk through a bank, who never think about walking through Zanaco because you have to dress up in a suit and speak a certain English, they're not for that. They can use that, and that's very good. Then, after they collect, the money still ends up in a bank. So whether we like it or not, whether it's mobile or whatever, everybody's included. The money will still go to the bank.
Let's not get to the digital financial, services.
Just before you
Please.
come in, when you're speaking about data and women, in the financial service or in any industry, what gets measured gets done. If you're tracking the progress of anything, you see where you're lacking and what sort of effort you need to do in order to address that problem. So when we're speaking to the gap between gender, between women and men in terms of financial inclusion, you will note that much more progress has been made by women. And now that we are doing a project where we're tracking this progress, we're measuring statistics. When we measure financial inclusion now going forward, the intention is that we'll not just be measuring financial inclusion in terms of a block figure. Now see financial inclusion between male and female, and how is it doing. Then the financial service providers, the onus is now on them. They see the stats that are coming out. What sort of opportunities do they see in there? They see women using Chilimba groups. What sort of opportunities are there? Instead of keeping money in a box, now you're linking them to financial
service provider.
And now that becomes an entry criteria. If I'm a woman who is in Soweto, and I'm accessing the service, first of all, I get introduced to the Chilimba. Second, I get introduced to a mobile wallet. And the next stage now, when I grow my business, now I'm going into a bank. So all this is complementing each other through the stats that are being produced, especially through these various reports and the stats that are being collected by various players as well as the Bank of Zambia.
Interesting example that you've given, Jimmy, and just got me thinking. Mobile money, obviously, the rise, the prominence of mobile money usage is very key, to enhancing the GDP growth of this country. And when we talk about, in fact, I also allow you, Charity to chip in on this as Jimmy takes it up. When we talk about income inequality, in your opinion, Jimmy, just building on what you've said, giving an example of that woman who's in the informal sector trying to earn a living, aside from enhancing contribution to GDP, how do you think that mobile money as an example of a DFS is key to reducing income inequality?
It's presented various opportunities. First of all, when we walk out, we'll see these boths. That is income being provided. A woman who couldn't keep money at home because maybe a husband got that money or she didn't have a way, now is able to keep that money safely and be able to save for a rainy day. It's also a business. You will note that there's these agents. You will note in the very early days there were very good examples of people that started as an agent and now have grown through this mobile money business. So there is a business opportunity for them as well. As a woman, if I'm going to, we're just speaking with Charity outside about women traders who are in Malawi and trading to Malawi to go and buy goods and services. Why do I need to trade all the way to Malawi? I can simply, goods are now appearing on Facebook. If business is becoming digital, payments need to reflect that to be able to. And if I'm selling sweets, nothing gets done until I receive that payment. So if business has gone digital, we need to follow that to be able to complement and support the businesses that we are doing. A very good example and something we spoke about, the silver lining for Facebook. If you remember, imagine you're running a restaurant and COVID now hits. People are not coming to the restaurant. People that adapted digital were more agile to respond to COVID-19. Now quickly you have payment option. I can advertise my food via Facebook. People will pick up, they'll send their money via the digital means, and my business I'm able to survive. So all those are ways in which digital is supporting various businesses, especially our women who are very busy. They are running a home, they're running a business. So by giving them a chance to do that digitally, you are helping them to move forward.
Interesting submission, Jimmy. Your thoughts, Charity?
Yes, I just want to also add on to what Jimmy has said. So I said that we need to do a study, a basic understanding of the needs of a woman. So here's a woman who's found in different places and different situations. So what we have seen now is that there is a financial service that addresses each woman. If I'm selling by the road, there's a booth somewhere. After I sell, I can deposit money. I don't have to carry that money, I also give an example. Last week we were meeting with the cross-border women, and I was demonstrating the fact that it is not good to carry money in your purse, because you actually, after you sell and you put money in the purse, Zambians were very generous people. As you walk home, you meet your aunt, you meet your uncle, all you do is tengan content kwacha, and like that. You are reducing from the business unconsciously. But if you had put that money in a wallet, you have to think before you can actually give out. It will be something that you plan. So these facilities are taking away, making our lives cash light. They give you a chance to have a thought, a pattern of spending. You can even trace. People are introduced to applications on phones that can guide you. This is how much you've spent per week. So there's much more that we can do when we digitize the money than having it run cash. And the women like to know how much they've spent. So a digitized platform will give that facility in a very convincing way.
You are watching Bizweek with me, Wenson Mavoro, and this evening we are looking at digital financial services, and I'm joined by Charity Chikumbi from FSDZ and Jimmy Couvaras from the Bank of Zambia. And you are free to participate in this conversation by simply calling the numbers that are displaying on the screen, and let us know your experience when it comes to financial inclusion, or perhaps what you think could better improve what is currently being offered on the market with regards literacy and inclusion inclusion itself where finances are concerned. Charity, let me come back to you. Interesting. When we talk about digital financial services, I know that FSD Zambia, in conjunction with the Bank of Zambia, did work on a project together, meant to promote digital financial services, via radio and other strategic media outlets. And I just wanted to find out, what this project is all about.
Thank you. I think I take the opportunity to even thank the Bank of Zambia that they were very proactive to sponsor awareness among users. When we did our research, we learned that the reason why then many people didn't have uptake for digital financial services, mobile money, wallets, and all these things we're talking about, was because they didn't know what they were all about. They didn't know where to find them. They didn't know what are the benefits for using them. So that was the motivation. As FSD, we took a pilot to Eastern Province, and using the various radio stations in Eastern Province, we dramatized financial literacy from financial goals, income, expenditure, budgeting, and all those good topics that are in, financial education. We made an entertainment program on the radio in a local language. So you had characters act out, impulse buying, unthoughtful spending, carrying cash, no insurance. And we saw that after the radio program, we went back through the monitoring and evaluation to see the impact and to get some learnings of how this had helped transform their lives. And it was amazing. We saw that over 79% of the people had changed their behavior. They now understood an e-wallet. They understood different things. And there was now an uptake, not just uptake, but use as well. So then we came and presented that good story to the Bank of Zambia and said, why don't we do this nationwide? And yes, and that's how come we're here and carrying out that program at a national level, going to the provinces, using the common languages in the areas of Zambia so that we use a similar approach and see what buy-in and how we can grow the financial inclusion when people understand what it's all about.
Obviously, apart from the tremendous results, Jimmy, what else made the Bank of Zambia keen to be able to, support this project?
Okay, first of all, the relationship we have with FSDZ has been a long-standing one. We have an MOU with FSDZ where we both promote financial inclusion, especially through digital financial services. When we looked at the program that they rolled out in Eastern Province, we realized that there's a key sector of the masses that we could reach, especially through radio. And given the relatableness of the stories that were being told by FSTZ, we can send campaigns through digital means, we can do physical campaigns, but there's a certain sector of the market, it won't reach somebody who may not have a TV, who depends on a local radio to read their news. But when you take a program like that, it's then able to reach that sector of the population, and these are the ones who may actually fall prey to some of the scams that reach the uninformed. So once we reach a certain key sector, and that's why that came quite very handy to supplement the efforts, other programs that we are already doing. And then, given that it's also using the local community, that becomes very relatable to people. I know that language. I know this story. Oh, this has happened to my friend. Oh, I can actually avoid this through doing this. So it appealed to the bank, and we're reaching the common goal of financial inclusion.
Indulge me, Jimmy, to again, tap your mind on when we talk about financial education, financial literacy, inclusion. Obviously, everything starts at the level of awareness. If I don't know about it, it's very difficult for me to act on it or do anything about it. So, apart from the active role that we've seen the bank play, the example I'll keep referring to is, I've been privileged to always attend the Financial Literacy Week launch, and Dr. Kaliale has always been there. As long as he's at the Bank of Zambia, he's always there to support something that I can commend him through you. And I just want you to amplify further, what role does the Bank of Zambia play when it comes to awareness? I mean, we hear FSD Zambia with all the amazing stories. We hear the Bankers of Association of Zambia with their success tales altogether on promoting this over agenda. But just amplify a little bit on what the Bank of Zambia does to promote awareness when it comes to financial literacy and sensitization, even beyond programs such as the one that Charity just gave us.
Okay, so first of all, we are part and parcel of the entire financial community. So we have something that is called the National Strategy on Financial Education, being sponsored by our sponsor ministry, the Ministry of Finance. So the Bank of Zambia is part and parcel of that strategy. And what we try to do under that strategy is to equip each and every citizen with the skills and knowledge that they need to be able to access these financial services. In doing that, we are a regulator first of all. So we try to create enabling regulations that allow various stakeholders, the financial sector players, to be able to do these services. We do moral suasion and encourage all our licensed entities in inquiring with them, what are you doing regarding your financial education? And you've just spoken about the Bankers Association of Zambia. That's a community of banks within the banking sector. Those are regulated entities. They are doing their part to ensure that the final consumer is informed. If I'm aware that this type of scam of people, then I'll fall prey to that. But if knowledge comes to me, I'll be able to act on it and prevent such a thing from happening. And some of these things are quite simple. Knowledge is power. Somebody will protect themselves once they are informed.
All right.
And then maybe, sorry, Winston.
Please go ahead.
We are the regulator. There's a certain mandate that we have, an authority that we carry. We do these physical campaigns. We are with FSDZ. Tomorrow will be with financial players. Financial players, if you go to a community and they're just financial players, the outcome that may come out...
Jimmy, just allow me to accommodate Timothy Mpumba, who's joining us from Solezi. Good evening, Mr. Mpumba. Good evening, Mr. Mpumba. Okay, we've lost Mr. Mpumba from Solezi over there.
Okay. Just to finish the point. So when we are there as a Bank of Zambia, more like a neutral party. When we say the digital financial services, it's a more believable story because our interest is to protect the public, not necessarily to make any financial gain from it or any profits from it. So it's important that we also part and parcel of these programs.
I mean, it's a very, very important point that is worth comprehending over there. Charity, let me come to you. You did talk about the success of the project. Let me now take you to another project, which was piloted by FSD Zambia, I believe, in 2019, the Bank Yako Yako radio program again. So, just again, give us some tangible results that these projects... I know that the Bank of Zambia obviously loves to work with people like you because you bring results. So let us hear some results from the project.
Okay. I wish I had a full outfit to demonstrate with a presentation because we did those results, we made graphs, and we made very good analysis of the results. But one thing is, we recorded the shift from access. We saw that a total of 79% began to access, moved to digital financial services. Before that, most people were shy. They knew that there's mobile money, but they were not using it. They didn't trust it. They didn't have information about it. So we've seen that shift of almost 80% that people begin to access. Now, when we went back just last week, not on the same mission, but in a gathering, and you ask how many people use digital financial services, it's over 70%. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it would be something like 50 or 40%. So that's very tangible. Also, we saw that the listeners are the ones who carried the story to go and tell other people about the information they are receiving. So that's what's good about radio. When you reach out on radio, after the program is finished, people get together and begin to discuss the interesting story that they've learned.
We seem to have a caller there. Good evening. All right. You may continue, Jack.
So it gives them a topic to discuss. So that's what's good about radio. I think it's a culture we've seen in Zambia when the vernacular programs do radio drama, it becomes the talk of the town. So that's the tangible. The shift is also pushed from within the people. So they become your ambassadors. And there's nothing better than that. That's what we achieved. So word is moving. And then even when we hear about a warning security, so we emphasize on how to administer the PIN, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. That word also goes out. It will be discussed, among friends, among families. So it's just that, tete-a-tete, and it goes like a wildfire. That's what radio achieves.
If I hear the word security, obviously I get excited because when a project such as that, Jimmy, yields more results, obviously more people will be keen to take up some of these digital financial services and their opportunities. But one question comes in, the issue of security, Jimmy. We keep hearing stories of people being swindled, people losing cash, hard-earned cash because of these things. And even on social media, people will rant and say, where is the Bank of Zambia in all this? Where is the bank?
The bank is here.
So
That's
true.
the assurance.
Yes.
And that is why we are doing these programs. First of all, we are telling people, do not share your pen. You hear very good examples of people. Somebody loses their phones. And this is a story, a complaint that received just, I think, within the last month or so. Somebody loses their phone, somebody does an identity theft on that person, starts sending messages to people, send me money, sort of assuming the identity of that person. Or you hear somebody, you receive a message saying, somebody has sent you money, but that message has not come from Airtel, has not come from MTN, has not come from Zamtel. That message just comes from a number. And then that follows up with a call, somebody saying, I've erroneously sent you money. Please refund me. I sent you 300. Refund me with 280. You can keep the 20 kwacha for yourself. That's working on the greediness of a person. They're using these social engineering techniques. Somebody tells you, invest 2,000 in this program, and in 2 weeks you get 3,000. All these things that are called Ponzi schemes. Very unrealistic returns. But people, for some reason, then start believing in such. They're working on your psychology.
Just hold that thought, Jimmy. Mr. Mpumba is back from Solwezi. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. This is Mr. Mpumba calling from Solwezi.
You are through to Bizweek this evening, Mr. Mpumba. What is your question, comment, or contribution?
My comment is that those people, otherwise they have to be working hand in hand with the police officers, including the people from the Airtel and let's say all money, let's say all network like MTN, Airtel, including even Zamtel. Because a lot of people that have been swindled, you would find that you receive maybe a message say, you send money that money in this number. Then when you report to the Airtel, they refer you to police. Again, you start going, the police start interviewing you. You have reported, then again the police start interviewing you instead of again working hand in hand with the MTL. Because, of course, and including it's like our professionals, the police, they also should be also trained over the swindling money, including the Airtel and the Zamtel. They should be trained such that when they are experts, when you immediately report, they should know how to send that number. But now the police, they say, no, just go and report. The police, again, they will go to Airtel or MTN. So that thing, it is frustrating people. To me, even those people from the Bank of Zambia, they should also be emphasizing much. They go down at what level. They explain to my relative in Santia, my relative in Shangombo, in simple language. Most times they should work hand in hand with the civic teachers that time. So that they start emphasizing the learners. Then the learners, when they go home, they also start informing their parents. That's what my contribution was.
All right, Mr. Mpumba, thank you very much for that insightful contribution. You may continue, Jimmy.
Thank you, Winston. Just to speak to Mr. Mpumba's points, those are very, very valid points. What we can say is those are efforts that are already underway. As we speak today, we have teams of ZICTA officers, Bank of Zambia officers, as well as policemen in Kasumbalesa, trying to catch out and address these such problems. And some of these problems are brought about by items like maybe somebody gets a pre-registered SIM cards. Those are things ZICTA have already issued statements on that they've deactivated over 2 million SIM cards, trying to address those problems that are being reported by Mr. Mpumba. But the key, before even somebody gets frustrated to report a case to the police, we are here to say, when you receive a message, somebody promising you something, somebody saying they've sent you money in error, have you taken the time to check your balance? Something can't come from a number and say somebody has sent you money. You can't give your PIN to someone and then expect that you may not lose prey. Previously, before digital, when we used to move with wallets, you always secure your wallet. Your phone now is your wallet. Secure your PIN. Do not share your PIN with anyone. If you think your PIN has been, somebody could have gotten access to your PIN, immediately change it. And that is how you secure. So before you even reach to the frustrating levels, it is better that you avoid to fall prey to such scams. If you get a link on an email, you get a message promising you something or asking you to do something, just pause. And sometimes it just takes a simple question you share with your friend. If I've received such a message, or if I've received a promise to get a very high return somewhere, I'll just pause, ask, hey Winston, have you seen this? Somebody will tell you, no, this looks very suspicious. If you doubt, you check with other service providers, and you will safeguard your money, your hard-earned money, rather than losing it on if it looks too good to be true, it's probably not.
If it looks too good to be true, then it's not true. Interesting. Let me come to you, Charity. Obviously, on the same issue of fraud and security and all this, there are people that obviously in rural areas that are using maybe they may not technologically be abreast with the recent technologies, the latest, features and enhancements that are being added to all these phones and everything. So in your awareness campaigns, in your literacy, financial inclusion efforts, do you specifically address those details?
Okay, yes, we do. We actually don't just operate in the urban areas. I'm sure you've heard us refer. Currently people are in Mansa, in Sanfia, and everywhere tackling these issues. You find that as you go off the line of rail, off the main towns, more people have USSD-based phones, the small phones. But those are not immune to issues as well. So what we have found generally is that fraud comes from greed. It's not so much system-based. Lately in Zambia, what they do is they appeal to you. They tell you you've won something, or they tell you we've sent you money erroneously. They'll actually make you do it by yourself. So we do send out messages. Do not
just hold the thought. Let's hear from Mr. Chiwe, who's joining us from within Lusaka. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, evening.
What is your quick question or contribution, briefly?
On this, I would advise you to go to the rural areas so that you tell them the important issue that you are discussing there, because it is really important for us to be helped. Yes.
Okay.
And then, because today I received someone calling on my number, receiving a code from that person using the number from outside the country, whereas this person is coming from Zambia here. And then he sent the message to say, send back that code. And then I said, I won't send it to you unless I know more about you. So this is where I ended up with him.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you very much. This is all I wanted to say about it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chiwe. Obviously, I will allow Jimmy to come in later on after you're done with the point on the issue of those characters that now come in calling us with numbers from the US and all these areas.
So I wanted to say, when people are emphasizing that we should go to the rural area, this is the program, the Bank Yako Yako you've been asking me. Mm-hmm. That is how we have gone to the rural area. We're going to go to all the 10 provinces. Right now, we are in Northern Province, in Muchinga Province, and in Luapula Province. Doing this sensitization, the drama. In the drama, there's someone who they send money to, and all these scenarios are put in there on the radio, and the reaction and the caution, it's played out in the drama. So what Mr. Chiwe is advocating for is what we have done. We have gone to the rural areas on the radio. We're using local radios, Radio Mano, radio, wherever in the area, at Mpika, whatever. Every area has a local radio station, and this drama is going to play on the local radio station. So we are very much in recognition of the rural areas.
Thank you very much, Charity. So how do we deal with these, pretenders, these scammers that wear a fake coat of international numbers and all that?
A scammer is a scammer. Whether they're calling from within Zambia or an international, just because it's an international call doesn't add any validity to that call. There'll always be something that will tell you this doesn't seem right. And once that first instinct comes in, just pause and maybe ask or inquire from someone else. What Mr. Chiwe is also speaking to is the issue of rural areas. Be your brother's keeper. You've heard this message, you've heard this comes, you've fallen prey. Do not be shy. Share that message. Report to your service provider. Today you've fallen prey, but you are protecting others. If you have this information, share with your people in the rural areas. They may not be privy to the TV or to Facebook. We in Lusaka, we get this information easily and we can protect ourselves. In the rural areas, various stakeholders are going there, but the information may not flow as freely as it flows here in Lusaka. But who have relatives who we send money to in the rural areas? When I send that money, if I care enough to send the money, then I should care enough to also educate them. And the information is free, and who have one protected community and who have a way to encourage these digital financial services. So that point is taken, and people are acting on that, and a number of groups are already in these rural areas, but we all need to make this a collective effort.
Charity, quickly, one of the things that we've noticed also is when we talk about financial education is key also to achieving the objective that Jimmy is belaboring on, ensuring that we all become cautious of what things we can do not to be victims of these scammers. So what are some of the challenges that you have? For example, in your opening, you talked about the importance of access to these financial services. What are some of the challenges do you think at the moment exist? Taking into account all the efforts that stakeholders such as yourself and the Bank of Zambia are making to increase financial inclusion, literacy, and education.
Well, I like the way that you start with access. We still haven't 100% solved the problem of access. We still don't have agents in rural areas. When I go to the rural area, I can drive for 5 kilometers. I can see a school and another village settlement and so on, but they won't be an agent. So it means the people that live there, when they receive money, they walk a long way to go and get their money. Think of the teachers when they get paid. They have to go a long way to go and get money. And we have been reading stories of teachers being mugged with their money, or Social Security. A teacher will go to collect cash Social Security from a bank so that they can distribute to a ward to those who are recipients in the rural area. And a woman was killed. So we are saying that distance to access. Number 2, it's devices. People, if we don't want people to be so vulnerable, then we should ensure that everybody has a device, a platform that they can use for money to land on. But unfortunately, when you go to the rural area, cell phones are 56% ownership, okay? We as FSD did do a project last year and the year before to distribute 44,000 handsets to women and vulnerable men so that we can try and correct this problem. Again, it is the network availability. As we were distributing the handsets, some places the women have to go and stand on top of a hill or climb a tree for them to have the...
So talking about poor networks, year in, year out, quickly, we see these mobile networks, I won't mention their names, being fined.
Yes.
We see it in the newspapers. But is it really achieving anything? Because at the end of the day, we're still subjected to the same poor quality that will force those women to embark on those long distances altogether.
But it's not all gloom. We work hand in hand with the government, and in the last 4 years or so, the government has given us an addition of over 1,000 new points of access, new, what do you call them?
Towers.
Yeah, network towers.
Yeah.
So, yes, people are crying out, but the government is not idle. They are busy making good even now. So now coverage has improved. It's also another thing that has come up is the capacity. So we see that in the rural area, there's more 2G. Whereas in Chipata, internet is so slow because there's more 2G. Here in Lusaka, we are at 4G. So we can do anything without thinking. So there's a lot of work to be done. And I like that you are appealing to the service providers and the dealers. We need to all work together so that we provide those needed prerequisites.
Allow me to bring in Jimmy. So here's a common problem, Jimmy. Here's a common problem. As an advocate, as a spokesperson of 17.5 million Zambians watching us right now, with all the authority
Given to you.
given to me. Jimmy, you walk into a bank, there are 5 counters. 5 counters. And if I see 5 counters, I'm saying this is good. But there will only be 2 tellers working. And on those 2 tellers, one is so busy that they can't attend to anyone. Only one is overwhelmed. And then there's this other third guy who keeps on coming. He seems like he's busy. He goes out. And there's a long queue of people that want to have access to financial services. And then sometimes we're wondering, where can we report these people? Because it's too much. On behalf of my people, it's too much.
You have reported.
That's why I'm laughing. He's right here.
Actually, the message to you is do not go into the banking hall.
Yes.
The message is go digital. When you go into the banking hall, those are man hours that we can be doing an interview here. Right now, if your madam at home calls and says, hey, Zesco is about to finish, my expectation is not that you go outside and start finding a Zesco bot. My expectation is that on the phone, you quickly buy. We'll go on break on TV, you quickly buy your Zesco units and it is done. So the encouragement, you notice a lot of banks have sort of reduced on the number of interactions in the branches. First there's COVID, but then there's, do we need to make that investment when we can do all these things remotely through our devices? I can pay my school fees through my device. I can buy Zesco through my device. I can pay for anything through my phone. So the message to people should be, it's not necessary to visit a branch. You can do all these things through the digital financial services that are being talked about. Once in a while for those, maybe you need to do some custom identification, some verification. That's when you may be able to go through the branch. And
but I also want to add on, Winston, what he has said is so real. And now some banks are not even giving enough choice for me not to walk into their branch. They don't have enough products. They are not well digitized. They are still in 1977, as Betty Wilkinson, my boss, says. So the consumer, do you know you have a choice to stop going to that old-fashioned bank and find yourself a modern bank? Because the bank I bank with, I won't mention, I can actually do everything on an app. and I can apply on the computer. I do everything alone. I bank with 2 banks. With the second bank, I cannot. So there, I use it for saving school fees money, which I don't need to access. But with this other bank, it's a transactional bank. So it's high time we stopped old legacy systems and speak to yourself what works for me. Shop around. Find out which bank can meet your needs. There's choice out there.
So that's where competition becomes
Yes.
a good thing.
Interesting submission over there. And Jimmy, let me come back to you. This morning, Governor made a very important announcement, apart from urging both commercial banks and any other financial player, both public and private, to take serious the issue of digitalization. And the other interesting key that he mentioned was when we talk about financial education, targeting the kids, making sure that this thing, like Charity mentioned, enshrined in the curriculum and all these other areas. So I just wanted you to speak to that, submission from the governor.
Okay, thank you for that one, sir. One of the things that we noticed even in bringing people towards digital was a sort of addiction to cash. Culturally, it's like I don't have money until I've got some money in my wallet.
Until
Zilipatumba, Zilim wallet. That's how we grew up. But if we're going, it's a cultural shift. Making people trust these systems. First, they must use it, grow confidence in them, and now then you'll be able to refreeze that new behavior. But with steeds, if we start them early, then we have a chance to truly go digital. Let me give the example of mobile money. What happens right now is I'll send you a mobile money. Then maybe you need that money to buy fuel. But when you go to the filling station, maybe that filling station does not accept mobile money. So what will you do? You need to go to an agent to withdraw that cash, and then you're going back to cash. But when the whole entire ecosystem truly becomes digital, those merchants start accepting that mobile money. They should know that now through the NFS, even if they've got money on their wallet, they can send that money to a bank. So ultimately that money will reach their bank account, and that's value in there. They can buy whatever stock they need to buy from there. So the message now is, how do we make the entire ecosystem truly become digital, so that the use of cash, what we should be using cash for is to buy sweets or anything, but for these other, whether you're accessing a service, medical, whatever, buying fuel, you should be able to do that through digital means. And now the opportunity that we have, especially with the kids, if we change that behavior early on, it's likely to stick with them. What do we say in the Bible and Charity?
Train up a child in the way they should grow. When they are grown, they won't depart from it. So I like the emphasis for children. If we begin to show them that digital is the way we buy, the way we sell, the way we look up things, already the children, if I give young children, they know how to use the phone. So let's just let it be broad, that they understand it holistically. But I'd also like to add to Jamie, other than to the children, right now when we go to buy building materials and other things, we find that there
are...
All right,
Charity, unfortunately I have to cut you due to the interest of time. I know the conversation is interesting,
yes.
But thank you very much for taking time to watch Bizweek. We will be back next time when an opportunity is created to delve more into this important topic of digital financial services. My guest has been Jimmy Couvaras from the Bank of Zambia and Charity Chikumbi from FSD Zambia. The name is Winston Mavoro. See you next time.
Television reinvented.
La 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 la.